Also big news today, Labor's failed promises over superannuation.
What happened with Jim Chalmers is it's typical Labor politics. He flew the kite, see which way the wind blows, realised, oh no, the kite's flying back at me, I better water this down. And that's exactly what happened.
With due respect, that's crap.
Oh, sorry. I know he used to work for you, Jim Chalmers. I know it's personal for you, Swanee.
It's not personal for me.
It's very
just
personal
not true.
for you.
And those sorts of distortions when it comes to super don't reflect well on the people that are making them.
Well, he's the one who put this wide-ranging think piece out there about sustaining our super. It meant nothing, Swanee.
Well,
nothing at all.
No, it does mean a lot.
But as Kerry Packer once said, if you're not minimising your tax, well, you need your head read, because you guys aren't spending it very well. So why should we donate more?
Well, that might be your values, but they're not mine, and they're not the Treasurer's.
How good was Chris O'Keefe in that debate? And that, of course, was former Treasurer Wayne Swan defending the Albanese government's super plan during a fiery debate on breakfast television. But it's easy for Swan to say, considering he's on a defined benefit scheme worth over $160,000 per year, he'd be protected from any change. And guess what? Swan is also the chair of Cbus Industry Super Fund. Well, joining me now to discuss this, Sky News Business Bureau Chief Adam Walters. Adam, it seems Swan is in a bit of a compromised position to be commenting here.
It would seem so. I mean, he's in it up to his ears, superannuation. He's associated with the company. I think you might know a bit more about that, Sharri. He hasn't disclosed his association with the superannuation industry. Is that right?
Well, he has disclosed it. There's been a press release sent out, but on air this morning, he certainly didn't mention it when he was having that quite fiery debate with Chris O'Keefe. And Chris O'Keefe did raise that Jim Chalmers used to work for him. Jim Chalmers was his chief of staff.
Yeah, so there's a couple of conflicts there, and of course that would have been the perfect context for that disclosure on national breakfast television. But above all else, Sharri, I mean, the Labor Party fancies itself as a pretty slick political outfit, fairly professional, but this is amateur hour. I mean, the politics of this alone are bad. I mean, you have a constant sort of mantra from the Conservative parties about the inability of Labor to manage the economy, and here you have Anthony Albanese at a media conference yesterday tearing into a reporter for having what he saw as the temerity to be asking questions about superannuation, as if this reporter were a member of the opposition. They clearly weren't on the same hymn sheet. As Chris O'Keefe mentioned in that interview, you had Jim Chalmers flying a kite about some sort of oblique discussion regarding superannuation, and the next day shooting it down after the toe had gone into the water, as it were. The politics of this have been very clumsy, and what it's done is give Peter Dutton a toehold. Now, Anthony Albanese accuses those who have got questions about The Voice, for example, of starting a culture war. But this smacks of a class war. OK, it's only going to affect 36,000 wealthy people, but it sets a precedent. If the undertaking from the Prime Minister was, when he was in opposition and during the election campaign, was that we will not change this, if that's part of his campaigning and people have voted for him, they're perfectly within their rights, whether they're wealthy or not, to believe him.
Look, I think you're right. It does, it is reminiscent of the class warfare, both under Wayne Swan and then when Bill Shorten was opposition leader as well. But it signals that really the government is trying to find somewhere to find some more revenue. Now, Adam, Angus Taylor has accused...
$1 billion. I mean, is it worth it?
Now, Angus Taylor...
That's the saving here, $1 billion.
It's a hard political fight for the opposition to have, though, because who are they protecting? The 36,000 people who have superannuation funds with more than $3 million accumulated. So it is a bit of a tricky discussion.
I think Peter Dutton... It's tricky, but I think Peter Dutton is correct in prosecuting the fact that while this may affect a cohort of wealthy people, it sets a precedent for going back.
And it's still a broken promise.
So that would be the most disturbing thing.
Yep. Let's have a look at what the opposition did have to say on that. This is Angus Taylor today.
We need this government to avoid straying further from the Hawke-Keating legacy by forgetting that super is fundamentally Australians' money. Super is fundamentally Australians' money. It isn't a piggy bank for pet projects, and it isn't a revenue loophole.